Well then, good afternoon, Mad Catr, Michael A. Friedman. How are you?
Hey, Kenard.
You
It's
miss
the
me?
Catr and Kenard podcast, right?
I think that's what this is.
Yeah.
But did you miss me?
What's that?
Did you miss me?
Oh, definitely. Yes, definitely.
Well, that's sweet
Um,
of you.
but we carried on without you last episode. It was Aradame
Mm-mm-mm-mm.
and I.
Aramade.
Aramade. I forgot
Close.
one syllable. Um, but
Aelor for those who watched episode 4.
yes, we were doing. He and I were doing an episode, and so the title was misleading for one episode. But
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. I was still there. I just saw him listening to the whole conversation, but it could not really contribute based on
but
my
you did say we
location.
did a good job
You did
in
awesome.
your
Yeah,
absence,
absolutely.
and we talked about a lot of things. But before we get into music, I just want to briefly mention on was it Sunday the Grammys? Yes, the Grammys. Um, Before the Grammys, there was news that Kobe Bryant passed away and in a helicopter crash. And I want to say that I'm deeply sorry for all the people that passed away. Um, Chris and I are I call you Chris. Kenard and
Yeah, it's
I,
fine. That's my name. It's all good.
yeah.
Go on.
So Kenard and I are definitely we are have all the families in our thoughts and prayers. Um, the people that were uh, passed away, I have the CNN article up, or actually, sorry, LA Times article. It happened in Calabasas, California, and they helicopters don't have a black box. And I saw on TV someone was saying that they should have black boxes so they can find out what happened.
There you
Um,
go. Legislation and change.
yeah. So sorry, I
It's
clicked
cool.
on my mic there and turned it off. So it was Kobe Bryant and his daughter Gianna, who he coached. Uh, Somebody that's a great person to have you coach you in basketball. But anyway, John Altobelli. Now I have to mention John Altobelli is there's a Maryland connection. You and I are both from Maryland. We both attended the Broadcasting Institute of Maryland. But John Altobelli, I actually was told this. I didn't really read this, but when I heard the name Altobelli, I thought, well, uh, in 1987, the Orioles won the World Series, and their manager's name was Altobelli. I was told this by a family member that they had read that yes, he is John Altobelli is the son of the manager from the Orioles. So, but rest in peace to everybody involved. Like I said, it was Kobe and his daughter Gianna that passed away. John Altobelli, Carrie is John's wife. Their basketball playing daughter Alyssa, mother and daughter Sarah and Peyton Chester. Um, Again, Kobe and Christina Mauser, Mauser, and the pilot. I'm not sure how to pronounce the name, Ara, and then the last name is Zobayan. And we are a music podcast, but I did want to mention this because, like I said, they're in our thoughts and prayers. I also wanted to mention because we do throw in a little bit of philosophical talk, moral talk into these episodes. I was talking to you last night off air. I think that it's kind of not appropriate when uh, when people say online that they might say that, or even on TV. I don't like, especially people in music or people in sports, that they might that person might have been considered the greatest one of the greatest or the greatest in their respective field. But sometimes people want to throw their opinion in and say maybe that person wasn't according to them wasn't their favorite, or they didn't think that they want to throw their opinion in that they weren't their greatest. And I think the time for that shouldn't be right after that person passed away. I think you should wait a little bit. I think that's kind of a little rude, a little disrespectful. So I just wanted to say that. But again, rest in peace to everybody that involved, and the thoughts and prayers are in our thoughts. So on a upbeat note, you and I were talking off air yesterday. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame was announced, and we will get to the Grammys. Believe me, you have a lot to talk about the Grammys. But the announcements, it was 5 people or groups that were, let's see.
More like acts, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, acts or solo people. Acts or solo people.
That's what I mean, though.
6 of them.
Yeah, I feel like when we like consider musicians who were like larger than life, a Whitney Houston, a Michael Jackson, a James Brown, and such, in a way to like kind of like group people together without, because here I'll even draw the parallel. A lot of times in like, 'cause, you know, I love South Korean music and such, and some people who feel some type of way about like definitions and terms, like they'll be upset or offended if you were to say this boy band or like K-pop band. And me personally, I'll be like, oh wait, personally, like a band, you know, instruments and whatever. And I'll even draw a third parallel. I have friends who love the Jonas Brothers, have loved them for years, love the new music. I personally consider them a band and not like a boy band. You know what I'm saying? Because all 3 of them, like, well, 2 of them play instruments, right? And so and they have a drummer and a bassist and whatever. So I'm like, wait, that's a band, not necessarily a boy band in the traditional sense.
Backstreet Boys,
so that's why like acts. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, exactly. Like I can like the Backstreet Boys, NSYNC, all those like American acts. Those
even
are boy bands
back in the day.
I guess you could call like the Temptations a boy band, but like, you know, they didn't really make pop music. They made popular music, but they made R&B and such not. So like when we're referring to like every group or like act that's gonna get inducted into this thing, it's like we wouldn't call Whitney Houston a band, even though like she had the presence of a really big like group within her voice and such.
And she
maybe that's a little bit
people behind her playing the instruments.
Certainly, yeah, but like maybe that's a little too nitpicky. Like Sade is a great example of this, because Sade was the name of the band and the name of the lead singer. So like,
oh really?
Yeah. See, I didn't even know this until like this year, because you hear Sade played everywhere. And in the comments, if you think that I'm pronouncing her name incorrectly, I apologize.
I think that's pronounced right. Yes.
See, but like some people pronounce Sade with an H, and I'm like, but there's no H there. But that's how some people pronounce it, and I'm sure if I ever met her or people who worked with her, I get it right and I permanently say it right. But just for the sake of people who are like me and don't necessarily have like feel weird about saying, because you definitely don't say Sade, because you'll get roasted to death. But
yeah.
Sade, like, you know, like you hear her, right? And you'll recognize like her music. Maybe you don't know the words, but you recognize the melodies. And you're like, oh, who is that? I don't really know much about her. And you look her up on Wikipedia or Google, like you realize that like Sade was the name of the band she was in. It was named after her. And I'm like, that's so cool. You know what I mean?
Here's a little bit of trivia, and then we'll get to the Hall of Fame. Did you know that Ozzy Osbourne, when he went solo, that first album called Blizzard of Oz, that's actually supposed to be the self-titled CD. The name of the group was called the Blizzard of Oz. It wasn't really
so cheesy.
It wasn't Ozzy solo until I guess the next CD. But I mean, I think now that first album is considered his solo album, but it's really originally was supposed to
Yeah, because he
be.
had like a really good band backing him for a long time, as
He
I
had the guy
recall.
Randy Rhodes who passed away
May he rest in peace.
playing crash. So back to the Rock and Roll of Fame. And by the way, Aramide is not listening to us, I guess.
How do we know? Like I could see like the one person watching. Hello, one person. We love you so much. It could be him because remember, like
How do
this
you know?
stream's
How do you tell?
well, I don't know because like well, I don't see any comments here in the corner of my screen, but like as if you can see the live button, you can also see like the one next to it. So somebody's watching on YouTube who subscribed to me. Whoever you
Where's
may
the
be,
live? I
reveal
see a
yourself.
live thing above your head that
Yeah,
says live, and then it's counting down the time. Is that what you
yeah.
mean?
No, the little square. Oh, I guess you don't see that since you're not hosting the stream, but I can clearly see one person is watching. And since you brought Aramide up, I would love to get in this. I was so mad about episode 4 because I could not be there, and I'm hoping that I can get all three of us into a stream art space again sometime soon.
Yeah.
Maybe episode 14. We'll have to I want to see us get there first. And I really would love to get your brother on the show before we hit episode 10, so we can talk about that after we finish this one.
Okay. Um, so anyway, Rock and Roll of Fame. So um, first of all, there's a place in Maryland, the Eastern Shore, called Rock Hall, and that's the name of the website for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I'm actually looking at the article from NPR, but if you want to look at the Rock Hall from the Eastern Shore, Maryland's website, make sure it's not the same. If you're trying to look up the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, you're not on the town website. But anyway, so like I said, there was 6 musical acts that were picked out of 16. And I, by the way, voted. I know you did not vote,
Didn't
but
get a
I
chance.
voted. Um,
I have a
I
question.
voted, and I have who I picked. So
Wait, hold on. Actually, yeah, give me the ones you voted for, and then before you tell me the 6 that got inducted, tell me the ones that did not, because I didn't know about the 16 that did not get selected this year.
here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to read everybody.
Yeah, okay, that's just as good.
So here are the people that you were able to vote for:
All right.
Depeche Mode, the Doobie Brothers, Whitney Houston, Nine Inch Nails, the Notorious B.I.G., T Rex, Pat Benatar, Dave Matthews Band, Judas Priest, Kraftwerk, MC5, Motorhead, Rufus featuring Shaka Khan, Todd Rundgren, Soundgarden, and Thin Lizzy. So my 5 that I voted for, I had it up. Oh, there it is. So I voted for Whitney Houston, the Doobie Brothers, Soundgarden, Depeche Mode, and Nine Inch Nails.
Can I tell you the one I would have voted for?
Go ahead.
Before I see the winners, because I still don't, like I shared a couple articles, but I didn't really look into this because not as I'll go into my opinion in a minute later. But had it been me, I would have voted for Depeche, Nine Inch Nails, definitely, Dave Matthews Band, Soundgarden, and Motorhead probably.
Okay, so you and I both agreed on Soundgarden, Depeche Mode, and Nine Inch Nails.
Big Nine Inch Nails fan.
Okay, so here's who got inducted: Depeche Mode, the Doobie Brothers, Whitney Houston, Nine Inch Nails, the Notorious B.I.G., and T Rex.
Hmm.
So my question is, who is the Doobie Brothers going in with? What lead singer? Is it their first lead singer, who I forgot his first name? His
Google it.
last
Yeah,
name
'cause I
is
don't know who that is either.
what is it?
I don't know what it is. I'll look it up if you let me.
I thought
Let me
I heard
see.
you say his first name. It is.
I don't know it.
I know it.
is.
I know it.
What is it?
It's Tom Johnston, and I
Who
believe.
is
Let me
that?
look it up. I believe it's Johnston. But then, more famously,
Mm-hmm.
even though the incarnation is the right word,
Yeah.
with Tom
Lineup, I
Johnston
guess.
had more hits, but
Oh.
then they switched to Michael McDonald, who everybody does an impression of, even your mother. No, I'm kidding.
No, it's so funny because my mother loves Michael McDonald. That's not even like a pun. Like she for real loves Michael McDonald. Mom, if you see this someday, like We out here. We see you. We love your taste.
Uh-huh. Let me
I don't
see.
know. I don't really know anything really about them in particular because I don't really listen to them, but I know that they're a big deal. So I
Yeah,
can't
you
be
don't know
mad. That's for
about
sure.
China Grove, Long Train Running, Jesus is Just All Right,
I know that one.
um, Blackwater. Let's see. So the Doobie Brothers. I had the other artist that I'm going to talk about maybe later, the one that I texted you. I had his
Hmm.
biography up. We're going to talk
Yeah.
about
Push that
him
to the
later.
side. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
let's see. Oh, wow. Okay, that's in
Hmm.
the vein.
What?
Okay, Tom Johnston. It's Johnston. And then, like I said, they switched to the Michael McDonald. Now, Journey was inducted 3 years ago, I think.
Hmm.
That was a lot of slur in there. But anyway, when they went in, they had a new they had a new singer probably about 8 years ago
Who I love. He's super.
after Steve Perry.
Yeah.
And what's the new guy?
I don't remember his name, but super great voice. Like you couldn't if you didn't look at either of them, you'd say they have the same voice.
Yeah, that's what people say. I kind of agree. I haven't really listened to him much, but anyway, Steve Perry was there
As he
and
should be.
he talked, but he didn't perform at the Hall of Fame. It was
He
the
should
new
have.
guy, who had Steve Perry had more hits. I don't
Well,
think this
clearly,
new guy
yeah.
had any hits.
The new guy had one hit, and I only know because of Bim, because they had a song by Journey with the new fellow, and for the longest time afterward. Bear in mind, this is 2011. Like, I think the song that they had at the Bim radio station was "Where Did I Lose Your Love?" Super song, and I'm like, wow, like I don't really care for Journey that much, but that song, ooh, so good. And when I left Bim and I go on YouTube or Spotify or Pandora or Last FM, Apple, like I'm like, I want to hear this song again. Where can I find it? Nobody had a copy, not even fan uploaded. But now, with the way that YouTube runs now, I was able to easily locate the song and listen to it, and I'm like, like I'm mad it took this long for me to find a legit, like just like quality copy of the song. And it's super annoying that like these things happen the way that they do, and that's why I focus and like get so passionate about how lesser known acts or music needs to be circulated into the mainstream, like legally, even like the way that Canada does things, like with much music and stuff like that, funding bands and like giving them money for video and production, and like ensuring that these localized acts or lesser known acts get their time in the sun, like on the radio or on like the television or the internet. But I'm digressing. Let's get back to the Doobie Brothers, because I would like to know why this Johnston fellow left the band. Was he fired or did he leave
He's back.
permanently? Like they're out and about touring and stuff.
Yeah, I believe so.
Oh,
I
not
watched
surprised,
a really
honestly.
good documentary on TV. You should check it out. Um,
Yeah.
but anyway, he had some, and I was just reading it because I went over to Journey because I don't remember that song at BIM, but he had some stomach ailments. It says
Oh, is that why? Oh, I thought it was like a creative difference is why he left.
no, and let me read
Oh,
it
it's
again.
illness. Oh, well,
Let
I
me
feel
read.
bad for even saying what I
Oh
said earlier.
shoot! I hit the albums. Let me go back here. They
Wait, but
have
how do we get from like the Doobie to Journey? Like, is it because like because of like lead vocalist leaving the band, or will the people
yeah,
like know
and then
more?
but like I said, because I wanted to know which lead singer is going to be at the Hall of Fame.
Both should
Uh,
be there. They should both be there.
well, like I said, the Steve Perry never sang, but he was there and he talked, but he never sang.
Hmm.
So let's see. Let's see what it says about how he left because he started in the 80s. Michael declined to. Let's see. Oh, McDonald declined. Let's see.
He's not gonna be there. Oh,
No, I'm talking about no, not the Hall of Fame. Let's see. And by the way, my only knowledge of Sade is Smooth Operator.
great record. Can't be mad about that.
Let's see. Taking It to the Streets was
Oh, that was Doobie as
Okay.
well. Wow, am I surprised? Great song too.
Later that group, in 19, let's see, Johnson left the band after the album's release to pursue an unsuccessful solo career. But
Mm,
I thought it really was. He did have some health issues. I thought that's why he left.
mm.
Um, I'm kind of talking to myself here because I said take it to the streets and you said something, but I was
Yeah, like the Doobie Brothers did that song.
yeah they did,
Classic.
and
Love
that
it.
was with Johnston. But then I
Okay.
thought it says he pursued a solo career, but I thought he had an ailment. Anyway, let's see what the latest thing on this biography says. It says who is headlining them. This time, in early 2014, the Doobie Brothers, this time featuring McDonald Johnston, both of them,
Mm.
Simmons and McPhee, announced they were returning to the studio to record an album filled with country versions of their greatest hits, featuring such Nashville stars as Toby Keith, Brad Paisley, Zach Brown, Sarah Evans, and Chris Young, called Southbound.
Did it
The
happen?
album appeared in November of
Okay.
2014. So that's the latest. So it's still up in the air who's going to be there. Obviously, for the Notorious B.I.G., it's going to be posthumous. T Rex was,
Posthumous.
I believe, was a guy named Mark Bolan,
Never listened to
Bolan,
them. Not gonna lie.
and Marc, and he passed away. So that's going to be a
Mm.
posthumous award. Um, Nine Inch Nails will be able to perform. You probably know this. It's really Trent Reznor,
Two
uh,
folks.
and then a rotating kind of cast behind him.
The only people I know in Nine Inch Nails that I care about are Ilhan, their drummer, and Atticus Ross, who helps Trent with all like the films that they work on.
I'll tell you another hit. I'll tell you another person. If you look up the group Filter, they have the hit song "Hey Man, Nice Shot," and then that was probably around the time of the grunge movement. But then they had another hit, probably early in the last decade, called "Take My Picture." Um,
What about
but
them?
Filter is led by, and I'm reading it now here. I'm bringing up artist info. Is Richard Patrick. It says vocalist and primary member Richard Patrick had been a guitarist with Nine Inch Nails during the Pretty Hate Machine and Broken eras. In '93, Patrick decided to leave NIN to form his own band. He met with Brian Lissagang through a mutual friend, and the pair began to record together. So that's another member for you, Richard Patrick. So yeah, it's mostly his vehicle, Trent Reznor's vehicle. Little silly fact, silly not a fact, but a silly thing. When I was growing up, I thought Nine Inch Nails was a nail salon.
Did you?
Those are pretty long nails, I guess.
Hmm.
I don't know, or pretty
That's
short
cute.
nails.
That's cute.
Yeah. So, who else? And then Whitney Houston obviously is going to be posthumous award. And Depeche Mode has all the. Now, one of the members when they originally started, he left, and Clark, CLARKE, Vince Clark, and I forgot who he went, what group he went to form, and I can look that up right now. Let's see. I always forget how to spell Depeche.
Depeche.
Okay. I have the article though, but here it is. Depeche Mode. Another name I have a hard time spelling is Aerosmith. And
I
we'll
can
be
see why.
talking about them because they were at the Grammys. Let's just find out who Vince Clark left to form. Okay, let's see. Clark abruptly exited to form Yazoo, Yazoo. with singer Alison Moyet. I think it's pronounced Moyet, leaving the group's future in grave doubt. So I don't think Clark, I believe, was Vince Clark, Vince. But I believe, I bet you, yeah, it's Vince Clark. I bet you he won't be there because he's part of Yazoo. And Yazoo didn't become as popular as Depeche Mode because they're in the Hall of Fame now. But uh, yeah, so do you want to switch to talking about Grammys now?
I'll say this and we can move on. I said this over the phone last night, and I think that I I feel much like you. I feel very strongly about music and my opinion of music. I take a lot of pride in my taste, and I used to like get so offended about certain acts that like get into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame who don't get into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And in a way, I kind of feel the same way about the Grammys that I feel about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. That the people that get to make the decisions about who gets in and who does not, they're kind of like stodgy and not really relevant to like the goings on of music year in and year out. But here's the difference for me. It's that people who get inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, all you have to do is make good music and stick around. You know what I mean? Because even bands that are long gone forever, like at a certain point, people in the committee are like, "Yo, why aren't these folk in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? It's about time that they get nominated for." And as long as like the I won't even say like the right acts, but like the as long as like the bands and the groups and the acts that like make us feel good when we hear their music keep getting nominated, I'm cool. Like Motorhead didn't get in yet, but I can surely bet within the next 10 years they will be because people in like the heavy realm feel so strongly about what their music meant to the world around them, especially Lemmy himself, God rest his soul.
Yeah.
And I recently saw an interview with Nardwuar the Human Serviette from like 2002, if I'm not mistaken, maybe 2004, with My Chemical Romance when they were touring in Canada, because Howard Benson, frequent producer of Motorhead, produced their second album, and he was asking them, "Oh, did like he tell you also lots of cool stories about Lemmy and the gang when you were working on the album?" And they said, "Yeah, every day he had something new to tell us." And at one point, he got annoyed with us asking about that band. So as long as like if you're a band right now and you want to be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, like all you have to do is keep plugging away and like form good relationships, professional and otherwise, with the people around you who interact with your music. Because there will come a point, but even if like the band you're in dissolves or you pass on to the next life, like if that's something that's important to you, like as long as you're working hard and being honest with your art, it's going to end up there eventually. If you're okay with playing the long game,
Yeah.
the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is the space for you.
Is that kind of
However,
like is that kind of like how people in sports, people like in baseball, their goal each year is to win a World Series? Is that what people in music set out to do? They want to be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame one day.
to be honest, I don't think I've really like followed an artist who said explicitly, "I want to be in like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame." But and I don't want to like discredit people's dreams and goals, but I just feel that when you're making the music that you should be making, the music you're like happy making and such, you're gonna end up there eventually. But and here's where my however came into place. If that's not your goal, like say, because most people, I would say that in this huge galaxy of music that we like exist in, most people will probably say like whether they're young or are old or whatever, it's like, oh, I'd like to see a Grammy in my lifetime, and that's I don't want to say easier, but that's more immediate. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're having a really good year, odds are you're gonna get nominated, if not win an award. But then, like, that's where the differences like come into place. Because again, like both in the Hall of Fame and in the Grammys, there are a bunch of stodgy people who don't really like are known or like participate in a significant way in like the day to day things, like with all these like festivals and all these radio programs across the world. Like who are these people who get to vote on the Grammys? I personally am familiar with one person who votes on the committee, Murs, a rapper, who only participates obviously in like the award. Like there are lots of like hip hop awards given out for the Grammys: best album, best single, like best act, whatever. There's a lot of associated rap Grammys that you can vote for if you're a member of the committee. And it's cool to know that Murs is involved because I know that he cares for the culture and cultivation of the genre. But like, who's everybody else? Who are like all these like people in nice suits and such? Who are they? And so for them to like just decide like, oh, this album or this act is unworthy of such an award, I'm like, I need to know the explicit details of who and who does not get to participate. And with the CEO of said the Academy being outed recently, we're gonna hopefully see more this decade, like the finer details or how like the coffee gets made in order to hand out these like golden whatever the hex. Because I recall seeing Pearl Jam on their documentary. What they went to one of the guitarists' house. I forget. You seen this documentary I'm talking about? You know what I'm talking about?
It's 20.
Yeah, where they go to the dude's house, they go in his basement, and he goes, "Oh, look it, a Grammy." Because it didn't matter to Pearl Jam at the time, and that was so cool because you could tell they were focused on making really great music, and the fact that they're still touring to this day is proof of that. However, and again, I'll start my brief like Grammy rant by saying I'm so mad at myself and not at anybody else that I know that I did not get a chance to watch the Grammys. Right now, I don't pay for television, so I don't get a chance to watch CBS, NBC, Fox. I don't have the opportunities to watch those programs every day unless I'm at friend's house or I'm at work. So, and plus, I was in New Jersey on Sunday, so I didn't get a chance to like be home and like sit down until 8 p.m. And I'm the type of person. Last year, I watched the entire ceremony, start to finish. That's what I love to do. I love to like sit on Twitter, watch the show, and just engage with the world while we're watching this show. It is my version of the Super Bowl. I love the Grammys. But if I even missed a minute of the show, I won't watch. I was barely on Twitter that day. I only really saw articles talking about Tyler winning his first Grammy and about Billie sweeping. Like I think she won every award that she was nominated for this year, if not 4 out of the 5.
I believe
and
so.
I really love Billie Eilish, like in the sense that I want to protect her artistic integrity. Because I heard her debut album, I wasn't in love with the project, but like I don't want to like pick on anybody or make fun of anybody who really enjoys it, because how much of a jerk would I be? That said, I don't like the idea of the Grammys, and they've done this for years by the way, where they just like throw Grammys at artists who they think deserve the award, where it's like, oh, like people will be happy with us if we give, I don't know, like a Bruno Mars or a Kendrick Lamar or a Taylor Swift a chunk of the Grammys. My personal opinion is that with these Grammys, with these prestigious awards, give them to people who might only see one in their lifetime. Acts like Billie, Kendrick, Bruno, Taylor, they're gonna be there every year they drop something because they're huge in the music world. But people like, I don't know, I was about to say Tierra Whack. I don't think she was nominated. She should have been. Like Tank and the Bangers, Black Pumas. Like these are acts that people in like the everyday world of our lives may never interact with ever again, unless you're really like digging through the crates on a regular basis. You're not gonna see like these bands that like only people like you and I know. You know what I'm saying? So like for them to just like toss them all to like Lil Nas X or Lizzo, it's an easy out, and we love these people. Like all those artists, like these are people that people appreciate them for the right reasons. Like they're not evil or bad people, but like I don't want this prestigious award, this committee, this organization to take the easy way out. Like they don't have, like the Hall of Fame doesn't have to worry about this because every act that they nominate is a big deal in the first place. But with the Grammys, it's anybody's game. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm gonna stop here to I'm gonna take a breath and let you speak your piece. I've talked a lot recently.
Yeah. So I actually wanted to just briefly, because I heard you start to say, here's my brief intro, and I didn't want to start, like, speaking of basketball, there's something about momentum, and I didn't want to stall your momentum, but
Bless you for that. Thank you.
about and I don't believe in cutting people off, even though I do. But
Same.
I
I'm bad about
remember a
that.
guy in Maryland, a DJ, a radio talk show host who would cut people off, and I kind of thought that was rude. But it is kind of hard sometimes. But anyway, the real quick, the last thing I want to say about the Hall of Fame is it is live this year. It's going to be broadcast
Awesome.
live for the first time, and it's on May 2nd. And it will be on HBO, so you can check that out. And it's in Cleveland. Have you ever been to the Hall of Fame?
Have I ever been? No, no. Maybe someday. I would love to go with you. That'd be a wonderful little like like a little field trip we could do. Also, I
Yeah.
want to say like I'm glad that I think I remember why I didn't like the Hall of Fame as much as I care for it now. It was cuz it's a cool kids club. Like not a lot of people get to interact with it. Like a regular kid off the street can't say I want to watch that, especially if they like cuz CBS, PBS, NBC, Fox. These are like the networks that like most people have access to. But then you have Showtime, and then you have things like ABC Family or even HBO. Top dollar to watch this sort of thing. Hopefully somebody will stream that bad boy illegally and put it up because I want to see the clips. I got a chance to see Yes perform Roundabout at the Hall of Fame with Geddy Lee, and only because someone put it on YouTube. Otherwise, I would have never known it existed. And watching that thing almost makes me cry because it's so beautiful to see a group of dudes who've loved each other and loved the music that they make for so long play to a huge stage, which I'm sure they played lots of in their long career, but just like, oh, like, we're still here, we still love what we do, and we love all of you. That it messes me up, man. Like it makes me feel some type of way. Carry on though. Carry on. That's not. I need to stop.
Okay. So the by the way, the Billie Eilish CD is called "When We All Fall Asleep." Where do we go? Um, you were saying that you don't want to hurt anybody's feel. I mean, if that's your opinion, then like I've listened to the song. I've listened to a little bit of the song, her hit song "Bad Guy." It's a little strange. It's a little strange.
Yeah, you can say a little.
The okay, that's my opinion, but
You're
it's a
right
little
though. It is.
strange
It's a very strange song.
that do 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 do. It's just, and do they consider her alternative a little bit?
Aesthetically, sure, but like as far as
Now,
I would
what do you mean? I have to stop you. What do you mean by aesthetically? What does that word mean?
man, it's like this is like a reboot of episode one. When I say that Billie Eilish is aesthetically an alternative artist, when you think about a pop star, you think about people like Britney Spears or Taylor Swift. You don't necessarily think about an edgy 17-year-old with green hair and lots of chains and rings on her fingers with long black nails.
Yeah.
If you were like throw yourself back in high school for a moment, you would have seen like Billie in the hallways and thought, oh, maybe she's part of like the goth or like the scene or
Oh
the
yeah,
emo
yeah, yeah.
kids and
Yeah.
stuff. Like she looks like I would say that she's a fair representation of what like the Generation Z like looks like when they go out into the world and such.
She looks like one of the children from the creepy horror movies.
Yeah, and like that's her aesthetic. Like it's a very like alternative look. Like not every like I don't necessarily dress like Billie Eilish, but like if I did, they were like, oh, that's not like an average Joe. That's one of those
Makes sense.
alternative kids, huh? You know what I mean?
I'm looking at
And
the
I have no problem with that at all, by the way.
Well, I'm looking at her album on iTunes, and I'm I'm looking at her face, not on the picture of the album, but the picture that she chose to use. I
What on
guess,
iTunes on Apple?
yeah, on iTunes, and she looks like a ghost. It looks a little like a ghost.
Yeah, like Wednesday Adams or something of that nature.
What's that?
Like Wednesday Adams from the Adams family.
Not from. I've heard the show, do, but I don't know who Wednesday Adams is.
If you know, you know. But Yeah, like I would because like here's the thing, like Billie Eilish on the top 40, she you can play play her songs from her album on top 40. You can play it on like the alt pop station. You can play it on like the hipster station. Like she's on what I call cross
Different appeal.
pollinated. Say again.
She has appeal to different people.
Like she has like mass appeal is what I would say. Like she's very cross pollinated. She can fit in a lot of spaces and like it wouldn't be weird. You know what I mean? And that's
So I
great
see
for an
why you
artist.
said. I see why you said about aesthetic. From it was. I think we actually brought it up in the second episode, and that's my bad. I should remember,
That's
but
fine. It's
I
cool.
do know aesthetic means pleasing to the eyes. Now, here's my
It
question.
fits the description. Yeah. What's your
I
question?
had this discussion in my head a couple days ago about alternative. Alternative doesn't mean what it meant back in Pearl Jam's day or Foo Fighters. It's evolved. And like I think I read the group that does Shut Up and Dance with Me, Walk the
Walk the
Moon.
moon.
Yeah, they're actually I think from Ohio, I think. But anyway, I think they are considered alternative.
They were.
I think American authors are considered alternative.
Ooh, no, no. No, I would say no. I think I would be more personally, I would say American authors is indie. And in the sense that not only are they an independent band, like, they don't have a label or whatever. It's
I'm
like,
pulling them up. Already their genre under Artist and More on iTunes is alternative, dude.
I don't know why.
Um, and then the other one is I think I've heard as alternative is Neon Trees.
I would say that they're alt. Yeah, I would say that they're alt.
It says American authors. This is why I have a problem with iTunes sometimes. Is that on? Is that open up a whole can of worms for you?
Boy, does it. Go on, though.
Well, anyway, like I said, on when you type in American authors, and on the right hand side it says artists and more. Under American authors, it says alternative. But then when you click on them, and then you go to their artist info, it's totally contradictory of what they just said. It says now it's not coming up for me, but it said something about summary pop.
Yeah.
Because one of their songs is "Best Day of My Life." That's like
So
a
poppy.
positive. Now, here's why I think alternative is not what it seems. It seems is not what it was back in the '90s. Like I said, I've mentioned, I think on this very podcast, that there was a movie directed by Cameron Crowe called Singles, and that was supposed to be the talking about this new genre called alternative, or maybe it was grunge. I have the soundtrack to Singles, and for some reason now, American author's discography won't come up on iTunes. I
That's
actually
fine.
had some other problems with iTunes that I was going to talk to you, and even if we don't get to it, that's okay.
We can get back to it eventually. Like, I have a very, like, I've said it. I remember when I called you on the phone and like we were talking for an hour because I was walking back to my house. If it weren't for iTunes, I don't know where I would be today in my journey in regards to music. Just maybe a week ago, right? I'm adding songs to my iPod. Like, I don't subscribe to Apple Music. I'm more of a Spotify person, but like I use the program to house all my digital stuff. Like it's between iTunes and Google Play that has all of my music that I've been like compiling because I know that places like Paste Magazine and like Amazon Music, like they're always giving away free stuff, and I want it because I don't have like the capacity right now to burn CDs to my computer. Like I own two laptops, but like my first
I
laptop
didn't know
I've had
that.
since the first laptop that my mother purchased for me when I was going to college, like I've had since 2011, and the last time I tried to burn a CD to like that computer, it made such a loud and obnoxious noise, and I was in a
I've had that
library.
happen before. Yes.
And I'm thinking like either this thing is either it's breaking or like it's close to. So I have to find a way to get all that stuff off that laptop before it's completely toast. And it's been 10 years since I've had it, so it's like all things must come to an end. But like I would really love to acquire a new CD burner so I can find a way to just like get these CDs digitized so I don't break them or that they like get scratched and damaged permanently. And it's not like I can't buy the album again, but like I'm not made of money. So like I want to find the time and the space to just like keep track of everything that I've accrued over the years. Like you bought me an M83 album, and I plan to keep it in the wrapping paper for as long as I can because
so how did your friend listen to it then?
Spotify, baby. Like we streamed it at her house, and like we were playing like this board game, and we listened through the album because like
Digital Shades Volume 1, by the way.
Yeah, bro, check it out. So at the M83, come to the pod. We'd love to have you.
Oh, really? As a guest?
Why not? Like we make the rules
Anthony
here.
Gonzalez.
I'd love to I don't know where he lives, but I'd gladly pull up on him if he was down.
He might be still in France. He's from France.
I never left the country before. Let's go.
Yeah, I've never left the country either.
See, first time for everything. Let's get it. But get our passports. Let's definitely get our passports this year.
I don't know where I don't know if that's readily accessible. But here,
I'll email his manager.
I
go on.
iTunes because it wasn't working. So I brought it back up and it's finally working again. And you know what? That's tech. That anything tech related can break down and have a glitch. So that's what you have to expect. Offering up an emotional and propulsive mix of summery indie pop and meticulously crafted commercial modern rock, Brooklyn-based American authors fall somewhere between the arena-sized folk rock of Mumford and Sons,
yes,
and which I haven't heard. I've only heard two songs at the grocery store from American authors, and I wouldn't say it was folk rock. But the other thing is,
I would,
and the urban, heartfelt grandeur of Fun.
Grandeur, yeah.
Now, Fun, you probably know this.
Yeah, I like Fun.
Fun is actually, when you talk about Fun, you have to say, I think Fun, period, because there was another band out there called Fun. So they had to change their name to Fun, period. So if I say Fun without the period, I'm going to be sued. I'm just kidding.
No, you're not. Shut up.
Just kidding. But anyway, they are Fun, period. And guess what? It actually happens to be that sentence in this biography ends with Fun, so it has period after the end anyway. It should have Fun, period, because the period in their name and the period at the end of the sentence, but I digress. Anyway, so that's what American Authors is, and it's still under their biography, under the genre, it says alternative, but I don't know what alternative music is these days.
Hold on a second though, because that definition of alt when it refers to like grungier bands like the Foos or Pearl or Soundgarden, that's still valid. It's just that maybe tiers isn't like the appropriate term to use, but like there's just various forms of alternative, like alternative in regards to pop or alternative in regards to hip hop. Great example of that. Like we're going to talk about like Aerosmith and Run DMC. At one point, Run DMC was like the gold standard for a hip hop group. Now you have groups like Diggable Planets or a Tribe Called Quest or Migos or Death Grips. And Death Grips is who I would call alternative hip hop, or like Injury Reserve, Brockhampton, like alt still like in regards to like the 90s like grungier times, that alt is still being made by lesser known acts and are still in that realm. It's just that now we have two, or at least like maybe five various versions of alternative. Like,
well, there's also alternative country, alt country.
See, you know exactly what I mean then.
Uncle, I think it's Tupelo. They're kind of associated with what's the group that Jeff Tweedy's Wilco.
Wilco's tight.
Yeah, I wanted to check them out, but I wasn't able to figure out which album that I wanted to check out. But I wanted to also say
Ooh.
before Nirvana, Foo Fighters, Alice in Chains, Pearl Jam, Stone Temple Pilots, alternative was in the 80s. And I think the band that they say that kind of started it was Pixies.
Oh,
Um,
for sure. For sure.
I've listened to Surfer Rosa and I've listened to Doolittle. I like Surfer Rosa better than Doolittle,
Mm.
but that sound is I didn't know until you just told me that that grunge is still there. It's just lesser known bands. I is it like who's
Ah.
the band that did a cover of Careless Whispers? Um,
Seether. I would say that like and like let me not like put my foot in my mouth. It's like the era of grunge is over. Like when Y2K began, grunge ended in my opinion. Like you still have like the champions of that sound still touring, but
like you said,
bands
Pearl
like
Jam, yeah.
exactly. Like those bands still like are killing it across the world, but bands like Seether, bands like Chevelle, like that's what I would call the post grunge sound. Personally, I would call it the post grunge sound because they definitely would have fit in around that era, but like the time where they were like the hot shit, like that's post grunge. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, I lost my train of thought.
So
Um,
sorry.
which is a good song by Aha, by the way, train of thought. But anyway, um, so the yeah that alternative ended the '80s era. Basically, they ended
Ooh.
Madonna from the charts. They knocked off Michael Jackson from the charts. Even the hair bands had continued to try to still do music, and they were knocked off the charts. So I guess it's fitting somebody else knocked the grunge artist. I mean, Nirvana's Nevermind, and people think that's their debut album, which it's not. But
Bleach was, right?
what's that?
Bleach was.
Yes, Bleach. They had in their career they only had um,
Four?
three, I think.
Okay.
They had a B sides and rarities CD,
I don't
but
count.
but it was Bleach, Nevermind, and In Utero. Um,
Mm.
oh, they also had MTV Unplugged, so four. Um, they had some other live albums, which I've kind of been thinking about purchasing. Um, yeah, so I guess it's evolved. I'm not really cool into what alternative is now. I never actually was a fan. I listened. I mentioned in I think the last time you and I did an episode.
Huh.
I listened. I grew up in Maryland listening to an alternative radio station, and that's really all I listened to on the radio.
Shout
Was
them out. What station?
I'm not sure if I can mention it. Can I?
Oh. Yeah, of course you can. They're not gonna sue you.
I mean,
You're
okay.
good. Trust me. Yeah,
I
you're good. Trust me, you're good.
yeah, I don't know how the legal stuff works. So
They're not
anyway,
gonna say nothing. We like if anything, more people should listen to radio. So please shout them out.
uh, 99.1 HFS.
Yeah, you've mentioned them before on the show. You're good. You're good.
So they actually switched over to a Spanish station called El Zol, uh,
Mm.
and but they tried to come back. I'm not sure where they currently are, but anyway, 99.1 HFS would play the heck out of Nirvana, Pearl Jam, Stone Temple Pilots, Marcy Playground. Um, um, I never heard Seven Mary Three, the hit song Cumbersome, but I'm sure they did. Creed. Um, I could go on. Blues Travelers. They even had an '80s on Sunday. They played 80. So they played The Cure. They played a song I like by REM, which was I think their first hit, Radio Free Europe. Um, so anyway, that's how I got to experience alternative. They even played. We just talked about the last episode that we did. Our Christmas, they played Incubus, and so, but I don't. And it's weird for me saying this, but I never really I liked it. I just listened to it. It's
Hmm.
weird to say, but
That's
later
not weird. You're
on,
good.
as I grew up, I started to appreciate a couple of the bands, really appreciating them. One of them being Pearl Jam, and I specifically remember listening to Vitalogy when I was in BIM, and I remember coming home from BIM one night. Um, and listening to Vitalogy in my car. Um, and so I started to explore Pearl Jam. I haven't actually finished my exploration of Pearl Jam,
Hmm.
but I once I get a couple more albums, CDs of theirs, then and I listen to those, then I will kind of have my say of what I think about Pearl Jam. Right now, I love Pearl Jam, but
Awesome. I do too.
let me finish listening to the discography, not the whole thing. It's just CDs that I've picked out in my brain that I want to listen to,
Uh huh.
and then I'll render opinion.
Okay. Hey, we have about half an hour left. Like, let's focus on the journey that you and I are on together with like recommending songs and songs that we're listening to personally. I'm curious, just in general, what do you have in your car right now that you're trying to get through?
Nothing. Uh,
Nothing at all? Why?
well, it's kind of because of this iTunes problem. Um,
Okay, tell me about that.
um, well, first of all, actually, the last CD I tried to listen to was a very, very long CD. It's actually, I don't like talking about it, but
Oh,
well,
hey, we can do. Are you sure?
by the way, I
Oh,
usually have something
oh,
music related. I'm wearing a music related hat or a music related shirt, and I wanted to get to this. Where am I? I know you can still see this,
yeah. I
but
could. Nope, nope, nope. Put
I
it in the
want to see
screen.
myself showing this. This
Yeah.
is a poster that I had when Guero came out from Beck.
Cool.
So it was in my possession. So I my father bought Guero for me, and he bought himself a copy. And I specifically remember walking around in my neighborhood um, with my Walkman on, listening to Guero for the first time. And it was actually that evening when my dad brought it home. I listened, played it in my, and I specifically, and it was raining outside. And I walked around in the rain with my headset on, listening to Guero for the first time. So
Hmm.
that's my story about Guero. Um,
I have a
I,
brief backstory.
okay.
I'll just like toss this here. We can keep going with the iTunes issue. One thing I'll say about Beck, been around a long time,
Yes.
and like I appreciate how like his aesthetic is so he's a weirdo. Like Beck is weird, and like he looks like a regular guy when you
Good
see
way
the
to put it.
dude. He's so weird.
It's
I
a
remember
culture.
when I worked at a CD store. No, I think I probably read about this online. Where like he released an album, but there was no music. It's just that if you bought the album, you got like this little book of the songs that he wrote for that album, and it was like, here, like play these songs and see how it goes. And later on, like he re-released the album with like some of his friends who are musicians or other famous people that he's associated to, like
Yeah.
playing those songs for the album that they wrote. And I'm like, that's so cool that he did that. And I remember recently where he won album of the year, and I had no idea what that album sounded like. And usually at for the Grammys you have albums who that are part of like the public consciousness for that year or the year prior.
Yeah.
And I personally didn't know anybody who was putting on for that Beck album. And I didn't really hear any songs from it until after it won the Grammy for Album of the Year. And oddly enough, as he comes onto the stage to accept the award, guess who's right behind him?
I know. Kanye.
Yeah, and like I think they're friends because he's like, oh, like, did you want to say something real quick? And like he comes to the like the camera and changes his mind and goes back to his seat. And I'm just like, I thought that was probably one of the last few times I was like in love with Yeezy because like you could tell he was like, bruh, how the heck did y'all give this to Beck? And Beck himself was a little confused that he won. So like, just goes to show you, man, just like the way that the people who run the Grammys think about music and how these awards should be given is not consistent with like the public consciousness that like circulates music. Because you could like, I'm sure they're like, I think Yummy by Bieber is a great example of like a label saying, oh, this shit, it's going straight to number one. And it did not. Like a whole other artist that nobody considered went to number one first, and they panicked. So with that in mind, with the industry doing this sort of thing for a lot of artists for a long time, maybe they consider doing something else. Something called just let these people, these very talented people that they have in the forefront of music, let them create. Let them do weird stuff like Beck. Bands like Jonas Brothers, artists like Selena Gomez. Nice people, talented people. Why don't they take more chances? It's weird for me to be more of a fan of Selena Gomez's output when she was a Disney personality and not like a fully formed adult like singer-songwriter. Like, why do I only like one of her songs post Disney? That's whack to me. I feel like I'm doing her a disservice, especially how strongly she feels about her latest album. I've heard 4 songs from it at the request of my friends. Only one of them really does anything for me, but it's only because of Kid Cudi. Back to iTunes, rant complete.
Okay. I told you about a song by Demi Lovato that used to be played at the grocery store job.
Ooh, I think I might know.
Let me see. I think it's featuring Cher Lloyd, and it's actually
I really don't care.
I like the name of that song. Let me see. I don't care because I kept thinking it was Selena Gomez.
Ooh, definitely not.
I don't see that on iTunes. It's called.
Yeah, I really don't care.
Okay. And I was like, really? Another person named Cher? That's pretty cool. Anyway. iTunes. So the iTunes thing is, look, I tried to download an album on iTunes, and I had this issue pre-Christmas. I was downloading an album, and then I've done a lot of research, and I talked with people on Apple support. And when I transfer the songs to the disc to burn it or put it into a playlist, and this is like the first time. I had never had any issues with this. And on Christmas, right a few days before Christmas, I downloaded the CD, and it was going to take 2 discs, but not all the songs downloaded onto this playlist. So when I put it on a disc, it was missing like 4 songs, 3 songs, and there's something going on with the authorization.
Of what?
Of my computer.
Oh, I know exactly what you're referring to. I think I do. I may be wrong. I personally would, like a person like me, I'm very like extroverted, very social. I'm going to people's houses, right? I'm bringing my iPod wherever I go. I'll bring my cord for my iPod. And I'm thinking, oh, you have iTunes. I have iTunes. Let's share some songs, you and I. And so maybe there'd be some songs that I wanted to like take from them and like listen to on my own, on my iPod. So I would connect my iPod to their iTunes account, or at least to their computer, right? And so my iPod would have to be authorized on their computer, or like my library even would have to be authorized on separate people's computers and such.
I think you can have up to 5 computers on your account.
Correct. Yeah. Cool. That hasn't changed. All right. Cool. Man, it's been a while.
So I'm like right now I'm looking at the album, and I can hear it's a 2-disc album. It was only released digitally and on an album. And so I did it digitally. I downloaded it, and some of the songs play, but if you go to track 4 on disc 2, it brings up authorize this computer, and I have enough. I don't have all 5. It says it even says this. To play this song, you must authorize this computer for songs purchased using this Apple ID. You may authorize up to 5 computers for each Apple ID. So anyway, I put in my Apple ID and password, and it says it's reauthorized. Let me take you through it. Let's see. I don't have the. Let me put in my username and password, and I'll tell you exactly what happens.
We are live troubleshooting right now.
What's that?
We are troubleshooting live right now.
Oh yeah. Only the best way. And so you put in the password, and it's really annoying. And I actually downloaded a program per the Apple support that they emailed me with a link, and it told me in the article, it told me to download this program. They said it might be something. I've read that it might be something with my firewall, with my security program that I have. But I've had this security program before this issue, and it didn't do anything. It wasn't having issues before. So I put this in, and it goes. And by the way, we have till 2:39 because we started 9 at 1:09. So Control V. Let's see, authorize, and it says. It does the accessing iTunes Store, and then it comes up with this computer had previously been authorized. It has been reauthorized, including this one. You have authorized 1 computer out of your available 5. So I hit OK, and then I go to play the song again, and it brings up this computer is not authorized to play.
Yo, what the hell, dog? That's weird.
I know. So I would like to put these songs on a CD, and I can't.
And what album is this? Is this the same album you mentioned that you purchased for Christmas?
No, this is I ended up fixing that.
Super. What album was this?
But then it happened again. This is an album by the group The Black Crowes.
And like, are these songs? Are they like exclusive like songs they put out via iTunes, or just like randomly 4 songs that will not play?
Like I said, it was released 2 ways: digitally, and I don't know if it's on their store. I don't know what that means when it says it's released only digitally, and it was, I don't know where that source is when it says that.
Digitally and what now?
It's digitally and only in an album form. So you can buy it. You can put it on your record. You could buy it as a record, play it on your record store, or you could also buy it digitally. That's the only way it was released. It was never released physically as a CD.
What's the album called again? I'm sorry, we didn't even get to the name of the album. What's it called?
It's called Wiser for the Time. And it's live. It's a live album they did, but they only released it. They only released it on album and digitally. Now, but when I read about artists releasing something digitally, I don't know what that means. Does that mean, is it digitally through their website, or is it digitally through iTunes, or is it digitally through another website? It never explains.
Let me see. You can. I found it. All right. I wanted to see this for myself because this is so frustrating. All right. So it was recorded. When did it come out? It came out 7 years ago. Wow. 2013.
March.
Blah 19th. Blah blah. What songs are you trying to like collect? Are you trying to play anyway?
I was trying to play. Let's see which ones play here.
Will not play, rather. I want to know the ones that will not play, because I'm very frustrated you have to deal with this. This is so dumb.
Because I want them on a disc. And
that's fair.
And I had it on a disc.
But you lost it, or did it like break?
I had the CD. like I said, I had that issue fixed
Right.
uh, day before Christmas Eve, and then I did the Black Crows and put it onto a disc, thinking, okay,
Problem
not even
solved.
thinking about that problem. I thought it's solved, and this was a couple weeks ago. I did this. I downloaded it, and I decided to give it a rest and stop researching and waiting for this episode. But I wasted a couple more discs because this problem resurfaced.
Oh, so when you put the CD into your car or into your computer, nothing plays.
Well, only the songs that are authorized.
That's so whack. All right, let me go back to what I was looking at just for a second because I found like the Wikipedia article and I had like the track listing for both discs. But when I googled it originally, it's like it showed me various sources in which you can purchase the album. Like you can get this bad boy on like Discogs, you can get it on Amazon, you can get it on
CD Baby, maybe.
probably. You can get it on their website. You can get it on. There are various sources. Amoeba. You can get it on. Like anything.
You know, isn't Amoeba? I know it is. It's a record store in Los Angeles.
Yeah, I love their YouTube channel where they have like various famous people come to the store, shop, and show the audience what they're buying that day. I explicitly remember Jonathan Davis from Korn going there and buying I think the album they dropped in 2013, and he's like, I don't have a copy of this for my house. I'm just gonna buy this.
He
And I'm
doesn't
like,
have his own CD.
I guess not. Like, and like they're on the road all the time. Let us also keep Jonathan Davis in our hearts. They just dropped an album last year, and I believe the song "You'll Never Find Me" it talks about how he's coping with the loss of his wife, and I can only imagine being on the road, like undergoing that trauma and singing
Yeah.
about it almost every night. Like I watched a brief clip of their tour diary since they started putting in work for this album, and he explicitly said he's like, some nights I do not want to sing it, but the fans want to hear it, so I do what I gotta do. But
Yeah.
that's really heavy, and I don't even want to imagine how horrifying that must feel.
He's
You
definitely
know,
hurt. Yeah. So
we love you, Jonathan. Just wanted to make sure I said that.
yeah.
15 minutes left. What do we got?
I'm playing. Okay, so Cursed Diamond plays. I think the whole disc one plays. I'm just going back.
Hey yo, that might get you in some legal trouble. Cut it out.
Well, no, it's just a little clip there.
That's what I'm saying. That the internet wizards are like, Silver Label, Silver Arrow, get these losers out of here. They're trying to like play your music for free.
Okay,
We
fine.
don't want no
I'll
smoke.
mute it.
We don't want no smoke. I know
They
how
can really
like how
tell from that little clip.
never underestimate the powers of the internet.
Let's.
Spooky stuff.
I can mute it.
As a matter of fact, honestly, I think we should throw this to the wayside. Like, I'm horrified that there's no CD in your car because of this issue. But if I'm keeping it honest with you, if I can do a little bit of a spoiler alert, I just want to get you a new copy. Like, this is ridiculous. Why? Like, this is where like digital consumption of music can be cumbersome, and
Okay.
I don't want that to be a reality for a lot of us. When
We
like
still
it
have
comes to
a little time here.
yeah, I want to focus more on the songs we have to recommend to each other because you recently finished a treacherous journey into the world of like IDM, EDM, and house with a Kirk DeGiorgio. Let's just call
I
him
think
Kirk
it's
D.
the
Kirk D is his
George,
name
you know,
now.
like like the name George. By the way,
Kirk D.
I did want to answer your question. Disc 2, I will say this. Number 4, No Speak, No Slave. That one doesn't play.
Screw you, iTunes. Get your stuff in order.
And that is not why I don't have any CDs. And it's kind of a vehicle problem, actually. But
Say less. Don't put your business out there like that. I'm sorry about that.
it's something to do with my audio system of my vehicle.
Oh.
And it's kind of too expensive to take care of. So
I hear that.
But it sort of is about the Black Rose. Let's talk about Kirk DeGiorgio. Now,
Yeah, let's give him like 5 to 10 minutes. Let's get him.
let me tell you this. And I told you this over the phone.
Uh
His he okay. Here's my thing with music with buying CDs. I buy a lot of CDs on iTunes. Um, we could delve into this on another episode.
please,
I
yes.
like to buy albums that are exclusive, that are digital only. I don't know how when I first got into that mindset where the only albums, because if it's not digitally, then I want to own it physically. If it's not digital only, then I'll buy it physically.
Hmm.
Um, unless, like, I guess maybe if the CD is out of print, then I'll buy it digitally. But that's anyway. So I found out about this guy named Kirk DeGiorgio, and I found out that he had a collection called As One
Thology.
ONE dash Thology, and it was digital only. So I downloaded the heck out of it, and
Oh, okay.
it's no longer on iTunes, and
I bet it's on
it
Spotify or something. Yeah.
and this was before this issue, so I was able to. I downloaded this 2016, I think. So, and I finally listened to it the trail end of last year,
Uh
the
huh.
end of the decade, and it spanned um, two discs for, I think, six total discs, two for uh, four volumes. Um,
Wow.
and so anyway, and it was, you know what? You actually messaged me before the show
Uh
the
huh.
definition of house music, and
Deep house music in this particular case.
I'm sorry,
Deep house.
deep house, and it says Kirk DeGiorgio. It doesn't say anything about deep house. Is that what you
Uh huh.
read?
Because I was under like I maybe that was just me like projecting. No, it was because since like this Kirk D making like electronic music and such. I recently was listening to the Weekly Discover podcast. Shout out to Chris Morley and JD Myers, my boys.
Uh-huh.
They I was listening to their release radar episode 8,
Uh-huh.
and there was a they featured a deep house record, and it was like 8 minutes long, and didn't have a lot going on, like some spoken word, some that kind of stuff. And I'm thinking maybe it'll float Michael's boat because I am on a crusade to find music that I
Yeah.
recommend explicitly that you love.
Yeah.
You mentioned last episode with the Ramaday about how you don't want to be pegged as just like the instrumental music guy.
Yeah.
But oddly enough, most of the things that you've recommended me, actually, I think every explicit song you've recommended me, with the exception of the Foo Fighters cover, has been an instrumental song. And I think I've explicitly sent you two albums that were instrumental, and I haven't received your opinion on the Snarky Puppy album. That's just between you and I. But when you heard the Blockhead album, music by Cave Light, it didn't really strike a chord with you, and it broke my heart, honestly, because it had such a profound effect on me when I was such a young age. So I have got to find the one album that I know and you don't, that you love. I'm gonna freaking find it, and I'm
Yeah.
hoping that that 8 minute song that I heard from the Weekly Discover Boys might be a little more your speed, considering how much like music this Kirk D guy had at the As One Thology, and you heard the whole thing. Like, is it good? Do you like it?
I really was surprised because I don't know if I like techno music that much, but
Oh, okay.
I like the production. Uh, and there were some songs that I have on my iTunes because I like the sound. But I kind of like I I've never really, when I've listened to music, I've never really gotten into the production aspect. The way the songs were composed, the way it just it there the example is, and I'm going to bring it up. It has a word that I've never heard before. I guess he made it up. Let me type it into iTunes,
Please do.
and it is I the The song is called Kirk DeGorge is called I'm looking under songs. Okay. So the song is called um what is it called? Okay, Dance of the here's the word. Uighurs.
Can you spell that for me one last time, if you don't mind, sir?
And I'll yes, I will. U as in ultra, I as in icicle, G as in Gary, H as in Harry, U as in ultra, R as in Russell, and S as in Steve.
Okay.
Dance of the
Yeah, they're an ethnic group from Turkey.
okay. How do you pronounce it?
It's I'm gonna try and play like the Google translation. All right, hang on for a second.
Okay.
Uyghur. That's how you say it.
Uyghur.
Yeah, like it's like you say it
With a
like
W, water.
yeah, like you pronounce it like Wegoor. Uyghur. And the Google definition, according to Wikipedia, is that the Uyghurs are a Turkic minority ethnic group originating and from culturally affiliated with the general region of Central and East Asia.
Okay. Well, the more you know.
Look
Um,
at that.
now, the whole song, at one point, I didn't like the way it was produced. I thought it was going to go one place. Actually, I think thought it was going to wrap up. It was going to be the end of the song, but it kept going, and I thought that shouldn't have been. But that's him. That's his song. So I mean, I'm allowed to render my opinion, but that's the way he chose to go. Um,
Yeah.
but there were a couple songs that were kind of avant-garde
Uh huh.
in that they were like the song Electricity. If you listen to that, you can try listening to that. That's just like different sounds. It's not really any beat. There's no, I don't know a lot of terminology, and we're going to discover more. We're going to talk more technically
Yeah, of
one of these
course.
days. But anyway, it wasn't a fully formed song. Electricity. It's really short, actually. It's 38 seconds.
Oh man, that ain't no dang song. That's not like a. That feels like one of those like like maybe like an interlude of some sort, perhaps.
Now there is a song dedicated to Herbie Hancock because
Oh, that's lovely.
it's called "The Message in Herbie's Shirts."
Oh, I love Herbie Hancock. He's dope.
So that's 9:18. So that's longer than
Woo! That's
38
a
seconds.
doozy.
There is a song called "Epic" and it's 13 minutes and 8 seconds. Um, the dance of the Uyghurs is
Uyghurs.
6:11.
Uyghurs.
Uyghurs Uyghurs is
Yeah.
6:11. Um, and there's a song called "The Circle Suite," which is kind of cool because I think a suite as long. I think of suites as like a medley. Um,
Mm.
so there's some good songs. I was a little I was surprised at my reaction to it, and I thought it was kind of cool.
Tell you
Um,
what, my friend. I want to talk more about this guy in like detail, and I'm so glad we made the decision to like record for an hour and a half. Cause look, we're hitting about like 123. Let's wrap up here. Please recommend me something. I want to recommend you something. I'm going to issue your challenge to you and like the one I spoke to you about on that brief voice memo. I'm going to issue it to the audience in addition to you because at this time I cannot for the life of me recall the name of that 8-minute song. I'm not going to even try to Google it on their website. Still, big shout out to the Weekly Discovered dudes. You guys are my heart. I cannot wait to see you someday soon so I can get back in the studio with y'all. Um,
so you're not recommending me the Deep House song?
Nah, I'm probably gonna hold off on that until you finish the Snarky Puppy album because I
Now
feel like that's
you're going to recommend me another song instead.
yes, I'm going to issue the Grammys challenge because that will give you a bigger berth to choose from. There are many awards given this year, so all you'd have to do is go to the website, look at the 2020 winners, pick one. All right, up. Let me start over. There are a lot of awards given away at the Grammys this year for all sorts of genres. It makes me so happy to see the variety in which the awards are given out, in addition to like the popular stuff that's broadcasted on television. I am embarrassingly so obsessed with variety. So, my challenge to you, Mr. Friedman, and to all listeners,
Mhm.
you go to the Grammys website, you look at the 2020 winners of the Grammys,
Uh,
pick one winner. And like, you can pick an album that won a Grammy this year or a song that won a Grammy this year. You listen to that song. Tell me how you feel about it on episode 6. Um, Please recommend me something because I know you said in our conversation before the episode began that you wanted to recommend me something that wasn't related to Kirk DeGorgio.
yeah,
I'm going to pronounce his name right. If it kills me, it's probably not now. Kirk D. Shout out to you, baby. I saved
we
a
might have him on our. We could just call him Kirk or
yeah
Kirk
Kirk
D. I
D.
like
Man, Kirk D. I saved
like Coach K from the Duke Blue Devils. His nobody knows how to pronounce his. I do, but
boo
it's
boo
Coach Krzyzewski, so they just call him Coach K. So let me
boo.
recommend a song here.
Terrapins in this
I've been
house.
thinking since we haven't done an episode, you and I, for a while.
A little
I've
while.
been thinking, I've been mulling over like a couple different songs, and I still haven't really settled on one. So
Pick two.
let me think. You know what? I'll just do this one. Let's do. It's okay, and I'm gonna text you off air.
Thank you.
It's called. The song is called Earthworm, all one word,
Uh-huh.
Part 1,
Uh-huh.
and it's by a group called, and this is all one word, Makeup. Like,
Makeup?
you apply makeup.
Okay. Interesting. I've never heard. I'm glad to be given the opportunity to hear about acts that I've never before heard of. I think to myself in my head, oh, maybe he'll say something that I already know or an artist I already know because maybe I didn't. Perhaps I mentioned it during episode 3, but when you recommended me that song by Ratatat, I already knew who they were. Like I've been a fan because I've been a fan for a while, since like my junior year of high school. Plus, Kid Cudi likes them. He featured them on his first album.
Yeah,
I wasn't. I didn't. I was embarrassed to say I didn't like the one you recommended me as much as I've liked everything else that I've heard
by
by
Ratatat.
Ratatat. Yeah, like, and I wonder what happened to those guys because I haven't heard about them since like their fourth album, LP4, with the song like Grape Juice City and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, Ratatat, if you're out there, like, give us a sign of life. We'd love to hear more of the music that you make because I would say they're kind of like a DJ-esque act with like all like the really like warm and like thick synth they have going on, the cool guitar licks. Like, where have we really seen that sort of act in a while? Like, I would definitely say they're more of like from like the you would like see them at like an electronic festival or like a turntablist kind of like crowd
EDM,
and
maybe.
such. Exactly. Like those
Ed
beats are
Malphite.
really like I love. I really like what they do, and I want to like make the time to like listen to them more. I particularly like the song "17 Years" from like their first album, with like that brief clip. He's like, "Oh, I've been rapping for like 17 years. Like, I don't write my stuff anymore. Just like kick it from my head. You know what I mean?" Like
Uh-huh.
that was such a cool like flip of a sample. Very, 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 very fond of what they do.
Okay.
About 2 minutes left. Like here, we cleared like the post for an hour and a half with no trouble. I think it's a perfect place to stop because listening to two people talk for this amount of time can be a bit for some folks. So
Yeah.
we give them enough time to like hear what we have to say and give them a chance to like reflect and breathe. I'm gonna say it here on the air. Like there are now at this point 5 episodes of the Catr and Kenard podcast.
Yes.
I fully intend, like just when I have a day to myself, to pull every single reference from every single episode, compile it, and post it in the description of every episode. So if you're like morbidly curious about everything we've discussed, if you're not Googling on your own, I know that I can be a little lazy at times. Like I will have sources for maybe not timestamps because that's a little too much, but like you'll have a home to like look up everything we've discussed
Yeah.
so you can either verify and like agree or like oh like this particular source is a bad source, here's a better source. Like
Yeah.
I want to make sure that we're producing a very congruent product And it means the world that if there's somebody out there in the world listening, I can see that number, that little I with the 1 and 0, like consistently changing. One of my subscribers, love you, whoever it might be. Anything to close us out with before we say goodbye?
If you check out the references, you can maybe learn about new music that you had not previously known. But thank you for listening, and I will definitely check out the Grammy songs.
Yeah, brother. Again, as always, I have so much fun doing this with you. Thank you for taking a chance on me. I can't wait to talk to you again. Let's do this in about 10 days or so. Say
Okay.
goodbye to the people.
All right. Goodbye, people.
See you next time. Thanks so much for listening. Godspeed.